My name is Eden Carter, and I was 26 the day my family decided I didn't matter. When my grandfather Walter Reed passed away, I thought his funeral would be about love, remembrance, and gratitude. But it turned into something else, a silent competition for what he'd left behind. We all sat in a mahogany-paneled law office, dressed in black but wearing greed like perfume. When the lawyer opened his folder, I could feel the air tighten. Charles Carter, he began, my father, inherits Carter Maritime, the entire shipping company and its subsidiaries. My father adjusted his cufflinks, satisfied. Miriam Carter, my mother, inherits the Thistle Grove estate in Napa, including its furnishings and art collection. She smiled as if she'd just been crowned queen of the family. Noah Carter, my brother, receives the vintage car collection and the Chicago penthouse. He grinned, already calculating resale values. Lila Sterling, my cousin, inherits the yacht Aurora and the summer home on Block Island. She clasped her husband's hand, triumphant. Then the lawyer looked at me. For Eden Carter, he said slowly, your grandfather leaves this. He placed a thin white envelope on the polished table. No one even tried to hide their laughter. My mother patted my knee. It's probably something sentimental, sweetheart. Noah smirked. Maybe a bus ticket. I excused myself, took the elevator alone, and stared at my reflection in the mirrored doors. I opened the envelope. Inside was a first-class ticket to Nice, France, departing next week, and a single handwritten note in my grandfather's familiar blue ink. The trust activates on your 26th birthday. Go claim what's already yours. Walter. Behind the note was a business card embossed in gold. Comte Adrien de Villeneuve, private office. And beneath that, a Swiss bank statement. My name, my grandfather's signature, and the balance. 312 million US dollars. My hands shook so badly I could barely breathe. That night, I called the international number printed on the statement. After 3 rounds of verification, a calm Swiss banker said, Yes, Miss Carter. The trust was established when you were 16. It matures at 26, per your grandfather's instructions. I stared at the wall in silence. Back in our family group chat, pictures of houses, cars, and yachts filled the thread. No one asked what was in my envelope. I didn't tell them. The overnight flight to France was quiet. The flight attendant addressed me as Miss Carter in a tone that felt different, respectful. I remembered something Grandpa once said while setting up a chessboard. To win, you have to see the whole board. Maybe this was the moment I finally saw it. At the airport in Nice, a driver in a black suit held a sign with my name. The Mercedes glided along the coastline, the Mediterranean flashing blue beside us. We stopped at a hidden iron gate behind tall cypress trees. Inside waited Adrien de Villeneuve, my grandfather's attorney and friend. Eden, he greeted me warmly. Your grandfather didn't leave you a surprise. He left you a strategy. He opened a thick binder. Hotel du Soleil in Nice, 38 million in annual profit. Aurora Crown Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, roughly 140 million. Commercial real estate across London, Seattle, and Singapore. You've been receiving a modest stipend, $60,000 a year, to keep you grounded. Then he looked at me. Current net worth of the trust, about 1.1 billion US dollars. My throat went dry. Every conversation, every chess lesson, every, what do you think, kiddo? They weren't small talk. They were training. Why didn't he tell me? I whispered. Because he knew your family, Adrien said gently. He wanted you to see how they treated you before you had power. The next day, I toured the hotel in Nice, met managers, studied ledgers. Then I flew to Las Vegas, where Aurora Crown towered in gold above the Strip. Sarah Nguyen, the general manager, walked me through the numbers and expansion plans. That evening, I joined a video meeting with my legal and investment teams, people who'd quietly worked for me for a decade. What if I wanted to acquire a shipping company? I asked. 30-40 million range, Sarah smiled. For you, that's pocket change. I said softly. Then let's start with Carter Maritime. Back in Portland, my family still thought I was the nice little teacher. They asked me to help them organize inheritance spreadsheets because I was good with computers. I smiled and said, sure. My due diligence team confirmed what I suspected. Carter Maritime was profitable but drowning in short-term debt. A single bad quarter and it would collapse. On Tuesday, my father called. "We just got an offer from an international firm," he said. $45 million. Way above market value. Deadline Friday. "What's their name?" I asked. "Blue Horizon Holdings, based in Zurich." I stared at my coffee mug. That's me, I thought. My move. My game. By Friday afternoon, he signed the sale. At 5 p.m., Blue Horizon Holdings, a shell company owned entirely by my trust, became the official owner of Carter Maritime. I texted Sarah, "Keep everything exactly as it is. No layoffs, no leaks." She replied, "Understood." "What's next?" I wrote back. "I'm buying a house." The real estate agent, Patricia Wells, nearly dropped her pen when I told her my budget. We toured mansions overlooking the valley. At the final property, West Haven Estate, listed at $18.5 million, I stood at the window and saw my parents' neighborhood below, tiny as toy houses. "I'll take it," I said. "Would you like to place a deposit?" "No. I'll wire the full amount." Close in 2 weeks. When moving day came, I called my mother. "Come by," I told her. "I have something to show you." 15 minutes later, their old Toyota pulled up to the iron gate. Dad called from the car. "Eden, you gave us the wrong address." "This is West Haven. That house just sold for $19 million. "No mistake," I said. "I'm inside." They walked in slowly, eyes wide at the marble foyer and chandelier. "Eden," my father said, "how did you pay for this?" "I gave them money. They gave me keys." "But you're a teacher." "Was a teacher." I led them through the kitchen, the library, the curved staircase. "Remember that envelope?" I said. My mother nodded faintly. It wasn't a letter. It was a plane ticket and a trust activation notice. Grandpa set it up when I was 16. On my 26th birthday, it unlocked. "I'm a billionaire." They stood frozen. I added, "Blue Horizon Holdings, the company that bought Carter Maritime, belongs to my trust. I own the company now." My father's voice cracked. "Sell it back to me." "No," I said quietly. "I bought it above market value to save the business and free you from debt. You'll stay on as CEO, but ownership, that's mine." For the first time, my parents had no words. 3 days later, Noah called. "You've blown up the family," he snapped. By evening, they were all outside my gate demanding a meeting. I answered through the intercom. "You can come in if you agree not to interrupt, not to threaten, and to acknowledge that everything I have is legal and mine." A pause. Then my father said, "All right." They sat stiffly on my sofa, hands folded. "We're sorry," my father began. "For underestimating my inheritance?" I asked. "Or for underestimating me?" My mother's voice trembled. "We love you." "Love doesn't sound like laughter in a law office," I said. "Love doesn't sound like it's probably just a note." Noah leaned forward. "Buying Dad's company isn't normal family behavior." "And selling it to strangers without asking me first is?" I asked. My father exhaled. "What do you want, Eden?" "A public apology," I said simply. "In the same places you bragged about your inheritance. The paper, social media. 3 words will do. I was wrong." "If we do that," my father asked slowly, "will you sell the company back?" "I'll consider it," I said, though we both knew I wouldn't. A week later, the article ran in Business Daily, Oregon. "I underestimated my daughter. Eden Carter is a strategist and a leader. My previous remarks were ignorant and unfair." My mother posted an apology on Facebook. Noah and Lila followed with brief Instagram notes. We were wrong about Eden. I kept my father as CEO. Same desk, same office. Only difference? His paycheck now came from a company that reported to mine. Funny thing, the business started thriving. 6 months later, dinner felt different, calmer, honest. Dad said over dessert, "You know, joining a larger network was the best thing that happened to us. We have resources now, better benefits, less stress. I should have sold sooner." I was just proud. Mom asked, "When you bought the company, did you want to hurt him or help him?" I smiled. Both. Hurt enough to make a point, help enough to move forward. Noah, quieter than I'd ever seen him, asked, "Eden, are you happy?" "For the first time," I said, "I'm at peace. Not because of money, because I'm finally where I belong." He nodded. "Can I work for you?" "Start from the bottom?" I laughed. "Mailroom, no special treatment." Later that night, Dad joined me on the balcony. The city lights spread below us. "I'm proud of you," he said softly. "Not for what you have, but for who you've become. Your grandfather saw this in you long before we did." The next morning, I got an email from the Walter Reed Foundation, the charity I just established in his name. $100 million to fund STEM education in under-resourced schools across the Northwest. The press release ended with one line I wrote myself. "The greatest gifts often come wrapped in the smallest envelopes." A year later, I stood on the deck of my yacht, Horizon's Grace, watching the Columbia River shimmer in the early summer light. My net worth was nearing $2 billion, but what mattered was who I'd become. My calendar was full. Meetings on renewable energy, housing initiatives, a lunch with the mayor, and coffee tomorrow with Charlotte, a fellow teacher who still updates me on our old students. I keep those meetings to remember where I came from. From my office window, I could see my parents' neighborhood below. They're not bad people. They were just blind to potential they didn't recognize, especially when that potential came wrapped in their quiet daughter. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Aurora Crown just broke quarterly records. An email from Adrian. Hotel du Soleil ranked #1 for guest satisfaction. A photo from Dad, standing proudly with the crew in front of a new shipping contract. I leaned against the railing and smiled. Grandpa once told me, "Chess is won in the quiet between moves." He was right. Not every victory is loud. Sometimes the win is simply knowing when to stay silent. So if you've ever been underestimated by your own family, remember this. Your value isn't determined by the laughter in some room full of people who don't see you. It's revealed in the choices you make when no one believes you can. My envelope looked empty, until I opened it. Yours might be a skill, an idea, an opportunity you've been ignoring. You might be amazed by what's waiting inside. And if this story resonated with you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Here we tell stories of quiet people who flipped the board, with intelligence, kindness, and a little bit of courage. Next week, I'll tell you another one, about someone else the world doubted and how they rewrote their own rules.